All right, here we go. We're on the outside of the solar room. The panel on it is right on the other side of the wall. This is the generator and charging tie-in. Now, I'll start with this one, I guess. It's been modified a little bit. So, you know, that's what I do. All right, all of those charge verters that were in the other video, these are the cords for all of them, and they tie in to these breakers. They're tandems, 430s, 4 double pole 30s, which is what they call for. Okay, this is the control power for this, and then this is actually the third generator that we was talking about. You just have to manually do it because I couldn't get another transfer switch in the box. I could mount another box and make it all automatic, but I figure if we get that far down the line, we got bigger problems. This is a 100 amp plug tie-in for the green diesel generator. If you looked at the solar panel video, you probably saw it sitting over there. It's easy to drag around because it's pull behind. And this is an automatic transfer switch, 100 amp, just standalone. And what it does, you can see this plug is going to this generator, okay? The feed for the panel is going to the panel, and the other feed is coming from the propane generator. So, when the voltage drops low enough on the batteries, the voltage monitor kicks in, powers up the relay. Relay sends power out here. It feeds through here, and all the way back to the generator, the propane Generac. Sends it its 12 volt signal, says, we need juice. So it cranks. When it cranks, it runs for a few minutes, and then it energizes the terminals. That comes back to right here. When those energize, it'll pull this one up to there and connect this panel to that generator. All right, then all this powers up, and all these control wires, you notice they come up here and go through all of these relays for those charge verters, so they don't come on all at one time because the generator cannot handle that. Control power comes on. This one lights up first. It's a delay on make timer, and it runs for about 45 seconds. That lets the generator just warm up a little bit because she needs all the help she can get. And the generator itself, I think, runs for 45 seconds before it energizes the load. So that gives the generator a minute and a half of running. These all power up at the same time this box gets power. The first one is set for 2 minutes, and then they're 1 minute apart after that. So they power up for 45 seconds, the generator idles, it won't let any of these come on. Then these come on. First one waits 2 minutes, energizes the first charge verter. You can hear the generator grunt when it happens. Okay, a minute later, energizes the second one. You'll hear the generator grunt again. Energizes the third one. You don't hear it grunt as much that time because it's pretty much opened up. And then the fourth one will come on. And that steps those chargers on one at a time so that they don't just hit all at one time, because I ain't found a generator, with the exception of that diesel, that can sustain that. The propane ones and all the gasoline ones, it's too much of a chunk all at one time, and they just choke down and usually die. Then that little delay on make timer in there will run the generator for whatever it's set for. I think it's set for 6 hours. 6 hours would give the batteries a full charge based on the kilowatts and all that. We don't generally run it for 6 hours. In fact, we've only ever had to run it one time, and we ran it for about 3 hours. Other than that, it just sits there with the light on and looks cool. But that's everything to convert the generators to the chargers. And now if the propane generator for whatever reason does not start, you can pull the diesel one up here and plug it in, and as soon as it starts, it'll get power here and the transfer switch will automatically transfer from the propane to the diesel. And then everything else works the same. It'll go through the timing sequence and start the chargers. And I went ahead and drilled a couple of holes in my little panel here to match up with the little lights, because that transfer switch has 2 little lights on it. The red one means it's running on the propane, the green one means it's running on the generator. Of course, you'll probably be able to figure that out by which one's making noise. But, you know, lights are nice. Hate to waste them. Okay, and then this breaker right here is for just a electric start, 6,000 kW regular generator. The plug is actually out in my shop and the generator's out there, so that if the diesel's not running and the propane's not running, we can grab the gas one, and you have to plug it in out there, but it's got a cord on the other end that'll plug into the generator plug. And then you'll have to come flip this one. And when you flip that one, it'll tie it in. But when you do that, you're gonna have to turn off a couple of these charge verters, at least probably 3 of them. And at that point, there's too much flipping and switching. Like I said, I'd have to put a whole nother box there with a bunch more controls in it to get that to automate. And I don't think it's really necessary. I don't think both generators are going to go down at the same time. And yeah, somebody mentioned I could use a PLC and control all this with one PLC, and they're absolutely right. I absolutely could. And I absolutely will. Just not today. This was all done in steps, and this thing just really grew. It originally started out as we're going to back up our freezers and our refrigerator, so when the power goes out, we won't lose all of our food. That's how it started. Because our electric companies, they're not good at keeping the power on reliably. We had to reset the clocks in the house at least once a month. And it just got old after a while, and we got the generator, but the Generac still takes like 2 minutes before it comes on, so you still got to reset the clocks. The solar, not so much. And that's how it works. Like I said, the generator charges the batteries and the solar continues to run the house. If the solar itself does fail, the generator will, through another transfer switch, which I'll show you in a minute, will tie directly to the house and power the house directly. And once the solar's back online, it will sense that and switch the generator off and convert back to solar. There's a lot of wiring involved, a lot of parts, and some of it's not real neat. So we're gonna have to keep that in mind. It was doing it on the fly, staring at the panel going, okay, we need to run this there, this, that, there. And that's just kind of how it ended up. It's kind of full in the generator panel. But that should be, these are Gaia relays, G-E-Y-A. They're just delay on make relays. You can use any kind you want. These are 120 volt coils. You could use 12 volt coils. I just didn't want to have to put a step down transformer. I just figured I'd use the panel voltage since it's already there. And they also have extra sets of contacts on them, so you could run a remote panel into the house, with indicator lights on it, you know, showing how many chargers are on, which generator's running. You could make it really cool. Or you could hook it up to some kind of monitoring software that would tell you on a nice little phone screen what's going on. We'll get there. Just more interested in getting the miners all running now. Once we get everything working, then we can come back and fine tune. All right, so that's it for this, and we'll go over to the transformer.